Okay, we're back today with Bill Gallagher. He is the founder and heads up TeamWorks. He's also a family counselor at Trail Christian Fellowship. And today we're going to talk about something that's pretty sensitive and yet very much a reality in today's culture, and that is restoring trust in marriage. And I can tell you, Bill, when we get on the subject of marriage, trust, emotional abuse, and all of those issues, the response is through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't believe an affair happens overnight.
No.
But when it does happen and the whole thing then is exposed and it just blows up, can a marriage be restored?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They can and they have in the past.
And can the trust be restored?
Yes, but it takes a long time. Forgiveness can be instantaneous. Trust can take years.
Okay. Because somebody said in this situation, you get through it, but you never get over it.
Yeah, well, well, that's kind of similar to when God forgives, he forgets, kind of thing. And it's not that God forgets, he just chooses not to hold it against you anymore. And so there's no way we can forget.
Yeah.
You can get over it, but you'll still have those memories, but God heals those memories. As you move on, you get healthier, your marriage improves.
Okay.
You can move on, sure.
I realize that's a bold statement, but the initial pain is such a shock.
Oh, you think you'll never get over it, absolutely.
Okay. So where do you start with this?
Well, I think it depends on the level of the brokenness and the need for restoration. I mean, if you've been in multiple affairs, I would be the first one to counsel them to move on. Even Jesus said that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what level, you know? But there's a lot of different ways to break trust. It could be dishonesty. It could be going online and talking with someone that you shouldn't be talking to. It could be not managing your money and taking funds out without communicating with your spouse. It could be even a style of defrauding where before you met, you told your spouse all of these wonderful things that you had achieved, and not a one of them was true, and you find out later. So it could be any number of things, but I think the way to restore trust, I mean, there's certain things that have to happen. First of all, the Lord helps tremendously. He is the restorer and forgiver. And so going to him first and foremost to get that ability. It takes Christ. It takes time. It takes repentance. True, not I'm sorry for getting caught repentance. True brokenness and an understanding of how great the violation was, a sense of remorse over what you've done. It takes repentance.
Genuine contrition.
Yes, genuine. It takes boundaries from the person who was lied to, or the trust was broken. They need to have new boundaries, new expectations. If your spouse was going on the internet and watching inappropriate stuff, he didn't have a password. She don't have the password anymore. Boundaries. You have to recalibrate your relationship. Now that this has happened, what are the safeguards going forward?
Wow. I've also said, and I've stayed way away from these lately because they're time consuming. And not that I don't want to, it's just, being a good steward of time. I've always said when trust is broken at this level, a counselor has to be involved. A third person has to be there.
Yes, I think it's very, very helpful for that. Very, very helpful.
Because if you try to do it on your own, you're fooling yourself, really.
Yes. Well, you really need someone that knows how to talk the language of restoration. I mean, I work with couples, Perry, that are going through what I call managed separation. Which is a biblical concept out of 1 Corinthians. Paul says you must not divorce or separate, but if you do, you must remain unmarried or be reconciled. So I work with many couples on the or be reconciled piece, and it's very essential that I'm there walking with them, setting new goals and things like this.
All right. So what does rebuilding look like? I mean, how do you start? The violation has now surfaced. Who knows what it is? And this thing is completely broken apart. Do you recommend separation for a while?
Well, it depends. I mean, separation is kind of a last-ditch effort, and if I know that they're headed to the court steps, I'll recommend it every time. And actually, I've seen a lot of marriages restored because they put off the decision to divorce and wait a while and get some counseling.
Right. Because
So-
that's the other thing I was going to talk about. Why is there such a rush to get a divorce? I mean, I realize there's a violation,
It's a very simple answer,
but it doesn't alleviate the pain,
okay?
or does it?
I would say the number one reason, Perry, someone in the marriage has to rush out and get a divorce, and they got children, they got grandchildren, whatever. The number one reason to move quickly is because someone else is involved. Number one, hands down, no questions asked.
Okay.
Number one.
Makes sense.
I smell a rat every time. I can tell you what the person's going to say next when they have to move out and get a divorce. Now, if it's someone that has been putting up with alcoholism or abuse for
No.
years and years and years and years, and they finally go, I'm done with this, that's a little different. But when I see a spouse quickly, I mean, they had a great relationship 3 months ago, and quickly get a divorce, there's someone else. 100%.
As the counselor, how do you know when genuine repentance and contrition has taken place?
Change of behavior. Change of behavior, a sense of humility and brokenness, a willingness to do what it takes to restore the trust that's been lost, a lack of defensiveness, a lack of minimizing their past behavior, but true, heartfelt willingness to change, a willingness to go to counseling, a willingness to be accountable to other men or women, depending on if it's a man or woman. It's just a transparent, tell me what I have to do.
Okay. Often people will go through a brokenness in the marriage. It could be the result of all those things you mentioned, and the restoration has take place. The other thing that concerns me, it's quickly put behind them and they move back to some kind of a forefront, or they will jump out and now they are the expert of that type of restoration.
Oh, brother, yeah.
And I'm going, whoa, time out here, you know.
I actually have had this happen many, many times where, okay, there's been an affair, let's say, that's what broke the trust, or whatever, any number of things. And they had little children, of course. And so the person's repentant and broken, and I'm sorry, and I recognize what I did, and they get back together, and they're happily married in weeks. I say, no, you need to slow this train down. It took a long time to get here. I think they need a year, 1 year of some kind of counseling, intervention, accountability. Then they can start feeling a little more comfortable. But the people that move too quickly end up getting divorced.
When that kind of trust has been broken, let's say it's infidelity, should they be removed from leadership of the church?
Absolutely.
For a while or permanently?
Yikes.
Okay. You
Well,
wanna go into
I would
something
say
else?
this. I would say this.
Yeah.
Senior pastor, done being a senior pastor. Done.
Okay.
You've lost the confidence and the trust of that congregation, never get it back. You'll be forgiven. But there's certain things in certain positions that must not be done for you to continue in that position, and infidelity would be one of them.
Okay. Because sometimes abandonment is an issue.
Yes, abandonment.
Unwanted abandonment. And
Yes.
that's a whole nother category, right?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
But what about leadership in the church, elders or directors or whatever position you may hold, and you have come through this? Are you suspended for a while? You think you ought to step back?
Well, I mean, you know, some denominations, you were raised in Assembly of God, and some denominations have a 2-year restorative program or something along those lines. You know, I think it depends on how deep the infraction was. I think everybody's restored by Christ, can be restored by Christ, of course. But it depends where you were in the chain of leadership, I think.
It's a big question, and we're running out of time, but let me ask you this. The hurting spouse, the one that's been violated, what's your first contact with that person? What are you trying to accomplish when you first meet this person that has just been slammed with this pain?
Well, I want to ask the individual if they want their marriage to work and if they want their family to stay intact. And then I work with the individual Because usually the person that's been slammed and cheated on or their trust has been broken for years also has issues of enabling and allowing it to happen without any consequence. So I first work with the person that's been broken by someone else's behavior,
Right.
and start to work with them on getting healthy boundaries, learning how to be strong, tough love, godly but healthy, and no longer willing to tolerate this broken, sinful behavior that has thrashed their family for years. So I work with them on getting stronger first.
Okay. Well, we can go on with this for a long, long time. Let me say that Bill is a family counselor at Trail Christian Fellowship here in Southern Oregon. You can contact the church there if you'd like to maybe set up an appointment with him. Maybe you're sensing some things, you're fearful of some things, or maybe you're right in the middle of this and you need some good counseling. I can't recommend anybody any better than what Bill does. This is part of what he does. You also do a divorce and recovery
Yes.
workshop type thing too.
Yes.
And I know the church sponsors that a couple of times a year.
Yes, that's correct.
So again, you can get a hold of them out at Trail Christian Fellowship. Thanks, brother.
All right, thank you. Great being here.
All right.